Well, hi, a very warm welcome to Dusty Shelf. Today we're going to review a couple of coaches, as you can see, from Hornby, the White Horse, which is the British Rail kitchen and buttery car, and Composite restaurant. Bit of a mouthful that, yeah, bit of a bumper release this week from Hornby. So as well as this arriving, also the Railroad Plus police livery, which I've reviewed on the channel already. So if you haven't seen that, go and have a look. Bit of a I described it as a Marmite train. Either you're going to love it or hate it. I mean, it is very, very basic, but I quite enjoyed it. It's a good bit of fun. But anyway, this one's a little bit more for the more discerning modeler, shall we say, with the intricate details that are on here. Now, let me take you all the way back to the beginning of the year. Well, let me take you all the way back to January when Hornby announced their 2025 range. And in the catalogue here, there was very few new tooled items this year. There was the Saint class, which has yet to hit the shelves. And there was also these coaches, the tavern cars. And I saw these and I thought, oh, this is absolutely beautiful, absolutely wonderful. And put a set on order, forgot all about it. Now, they're not the cheapest of coaches, £139 at Hornby, around about 130 at the retailers. Now, with Hornby, you do get your points back on that, so, you know, it works out roughly about the same in the end. But I put these on order, and as I say, I forgot all about them. And then just before Christmas, very similar situation to what happened last year. Just before Christmas, one of the locos turned up that I had on pre-order. And this year, we've had, as I say, the police livery Class 37 and the two coaches turn up on the first week just before Christmas, just when I don't need to be spending out even more money. But anyway, they're here. The box looks good from the outside. I was really intrigued by the coaches when they got released in the catalogue, and you can see here we'll come back to these pictures, but here there's a picture of the coach itself, and these were basically a travelling bar. Well, the two releases of the tavern cars. First of all, the one we're reviewing today, which is the White Horse, and then secondly, the Jolly Tar. Now, the White Horse has the kind of wood panelling on the side with the brick lower portion, and whereas the Jolly Tar was a little bit later and they'd reverted back to the sort of southern livery. But you can see here the picture of the inside. The tavern cars all set out with wood panelling inside and the bar at one end here, and there's some other pictures of the coaches in service, but notice they're all in black and white, none in colour, and we'll come back to that in a moment. And it says, in 1949, 2 pairs of carriages were put into service on the British Rail Southern region to provide catering facilities with a difference. The idea came from Oliver Bulleid, the former Southern Railway chief mechanical engineer, who had a track record of thinking outside the box with his unusual air-smooth Pacifics, double-deck carriages and cabbed leader locomotives. Each pair consisted of composite dining and tavern coach. These were allocated to the Atlantic Coast Express and provided thirsty commuters with a pub on wheels for their homeward journey. Internally, each tavern was decorated to mimic an old English pub with tiled floors, whitewashed walls, oak beams, high back settles and illuminated by lanterns. Externally, the paintwork was divided horizontally in carmine and cream, and the lower section lined out to represent brickwork. The upper section had a half-timbered relief and a painted pub sign, while the small windows had old-style leaded panes. The dining cars were unpopular and were quickly refitted in 1950, at which point the mock brickwork on the taverns was repainted in plain carmine. They lasted in service in their pairs until late 1959, but were then repainted in unlined British Rail Southern Railways green in 1957. Similar pairs of tavern cars operated on other BR regions, as a little clue to the 2026 Hornby release there. So they're obviously going to release these in the other regions. Anyway, back to the two releases. So here you can see the half brickwork, the wooden panelling, the pub sign, and the carmine and cream. And then on this side, the Jolly Tar, which is released in the Southern Railways green. So quickly through the numbers. So if you want the green ones, they are R40471, and the ones we're reviewing today in the carmine and cream is the 40470. Well, the first thing to say is how wonderful the packaging is. I love this. It just looks fantastic. You've got a little sort of snapshot in the background there of the interior of the saloon car with the bar just here and the people standing next to the bar, taken directly from the catalogue. And then we've got the pub sign here, the White Horse, and then the two carriages. First of all, the composite restaurant carriage with the small windows at the top here, and then the pub on wheels here with the brickwork along the base here and the half timbered effect, and then the leaded lined windows at the top there. So really lovely looking box, not particularly substantial, but as you can see it contains two interior boxes inside. So just quickly round the box, on the side here it does say for not suitable for children under 14. It does say the minimum radius on this is 438 millimeters, and again the number 40470, the British Rail Kitchen and Buttery car, Composite Restaurant White Horse Coach Twin Pack. That really is a mouthful, as I say again. And on the back of the box we've got a repeat of the pictures that we saw in the catalogue. So the again the picture there inside the bar, the half brickwork shown on the carriage here, and the actual composite dining coach. Repeat of the text that I've just read from the catalogue, and just a little bit at the bottom here that says special thanks to Mike King for his support and contribution to this project. So as I say, I've not seen any colour photographs of this coach, so I'm guessing you know, there was some input into how these really did look when they were on the rails. So let's slide them out the box and let's have a look. So we have, now the first thing of note is that both carriages carry the same number, 40470, so both boxes are identical. Around the box there's nothing really much to show on either of the boxes. Clear front on here, and again repeating the title White Horse at the top. The rest of the box on the top we're treated with the pub sign again, and Tavern Cars #1 collection. Will it be a #2, #3 collection, you know, for the other railways that ran these tavern cars? On the back of the box just repeats again the you know, the warnings about for 14 years or older. So there's not really a lot to say other than it's quite nice packaging. Now, first impressions of the two coaches. This hasn't grown on me since I've had it the last couple of days. It looks odd, and it looks very cartoonish. Now, I'm not doubting for any second that you know, the details and the colours are correct on here, but it just looks wrong. It's just from outside of the box, it reminds me very much of the very early Hornby tinplate. But let's get them out of the box and let's have a look at them in detail. So as I've mentioned before on the channel, if you want to open these boxes without damaging them, just slide a rule inside like so, and then you can push the flaps back and with the ruler and open them without tearing the ends. I do like to try and keep the boxes quite nice, and yeah, sometimes that's a bit of a challenge because you get these little flaps that catch in the corner and it's so easy to tear the boxes. Let's do this end again. There we go. I'll do the same on the other box. Even with the ruler, these are going to be quite difficult to open, I think. Come on. There we go. Okay, so inside, just checking there's no paperwork in there. So we've just got the cardboard surround, and yeah, the coaches are presented in the all-new Hornby blister pack. Right, let's lift them both out of the packaging. Just take that little piece of cloth off of there. Well, with these being such expensive coaches, I am going to be very, very critical on them. If I see anything, I will call it out, even the most smallest things. Now, they do feel quite cold to the touch, but yeah, definitely plastic bodies. Yeah, I thought they were metal to start with, but they're not. They're plastic body, plastic moulded bodies, and I think they're one piece. Can't really tell, but there's no joint line at the top there, so I think they're plastic bodies, and yeah, one piece. And I can't see any fixings on them at all. Maybe they're clipped on. I'm not going to take them apart because they're obviously brand new and quite expensive. I love the way it curves towards the glass. So you've got sort of almost a window frame around all of the windows. I'll try and capture it in a photograph, but particularly the doors. And you see the way that they're sort of curved in. But that's really nice, and the glazing is so well done. It's almost flush fit, but just a fraction of a millimetre recessed in, just enough to be absolutely perfect. And then the window frames, again, are picked out, but yeah, with little features on the sides here. Now the coaches are quite weighty. I'll weigh them at the end. The other thing to note is the wheels. They're not very free spinning, which does make me wonder if these have pickups in them. So that would be rather nice if these actually had, you know, had a lighting inside. I don't know, it doesn't say on the box and didn't say in any of the literature, but we'll find out in a little bit. Certainly the wheels are insulated to left and right, so, and they're not free spinning. I can see little phosphor bronze bearings in the wheels as well, which is very high quality. And the coupling, I mean, the coupling is independent of the axle here, but you can see as I rotate it, it's moving through an arc, which allows the very close coupling. Now on that note, you can see at one end we've got magnetic coupling, on the other end the hook coupling. So the magnetic joins the two coaches together, and if I just bring them close, you've got this beautiful intersection there with them so close coupled. It's wonderful. But then as they go around the corner, because of the way in which the articulation of the coupling is, you can see that it allows the coaches to move apart to transition the corner and then back onto the straight. And yeah, very close coupled indeed. So I really do like that. That's very nice indeed. I've not had a set of coaches like that before. I know Hornby have done this a couple of times before on their coaches, but the first time I've had a set like that. So let's start with the one with the brickwork on it, shall we? So right at the end, we have separately fitted lamp irons and handrail on the end here. The concertina is very nicely moulded, and we've got a moulded in door on the end of the panels. We've got moulded in steps, yeah, it must be plastic, moulded in steps up the side here, and another couple of moulded in features. The buffers are sprung, which I guess you'd expect, and we've got little steps off at the bottom here, down on either side, and some very small printing that looks extremely detailed on the side there. That looks very nice indeed. There's a little handrail running up the side of the back of the coach here and up beside the steps. And the roof panel, well, I mean, it's all moulded in one, but it's very, very well done. The handrail changes over to grey on the roof. I think that's just where the mask had been. Now that's a shame, because that really should be black all the way up through and onto the roof, but you can see where the paint has changed colour there. That's a shame. That's not very good. Now these larger air vents all seem to be separately moulded, but the smaller compartment air vents, or these tiny little pieces on the top here, very complex moulding on those, because they are undercut in the tooling. So either they are separately fitted or they're moulded in, but with a very, very clever tool. So I'm quite impressed with that. Just a shame about the paint on the end there. Onto the side of the coach, and yeah, the brickwork. So I'm not convinced. I mean, certainly looking at the pictures, yes, that's what the brickwork looked like. The brickwork is printed on the side. I have to go by the fact that I've not seen a colour photograph of these, so the colours are correct. It just looks very odd, and I guess it looked very odd in its day. But the printing, absolutely perfect, and it has got a slight texture to it, which is really nice. The wood panelling is all absolutely perfect, as is the sign for the pub on the side there, And at the top you can see the little windows, again with the glass etching on the windows there. Absolutely perfectly done. The rivets around the windows. It is beautifully made, beautifully crafted in this model scale. Down on the bogie, we've already mentioned the bearings on the wheels, but the bogie is very nicely modelled. We've got the leaf springs either side and the axle boxes very nicely moulded, and plenty of detail underneath the coach. Yeah, there's lots to see under here. All moulded in components onto the base of the coach. I don't actually know what all the bits are underneath the coach, but certainly there's a couple of cubby holes. There's some sort of cooling unit here with louvers on the side, and then there's 3 or 4 tanks underneath. But all nicely moulded in detail, and certainly from a side perspective look absolutely perfect. Now moving to the door, I would have liked to have seen these separately fitted. Their kind of shut lines kind of diffuse into the paint. It's only when you get a shadow on them you can actually see the shut line. Very difficult to show on camera, but as I move my hand across, in certain lights you can see the shut lines, but other times you can't. So these really should have been separately fitted, I think. The door handles and the hinges, for the price point of the model, maybe they could have been picked out in paint. Maybe they should have been picked out in paint. I've certainly seen, you know, things like the handles picked out on other models of a lesser value, so maybe they could have been done, I don't know. Obviously there's a reason why they weren't. The separately fitted handles, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 of them here. And again, I'm being really critical here only because of the price point, and it's a bit petty really, but they're all different distances from the coach body. This one has a gap behind, this one is touching, this one is touching, this one has an uneven gap. With them being separately fitted, you know, maybe I'm being very petty, but they should be away from the body just a fraction, just enough to make them look, you know, absolutely spot on. And they're not spot on, but I'm being really fussy there. We're talking fractions of a millimetre in these, and you know, if you were building this yourself and you're an expert modeler, those fractions of millimetres would be critical. For me, and like most modelers, the fact I'm doing this review, I'm looking for these things. But as a normal, if I was just running this on my layout, I would never notice that. I would never notice it. I'd never notice the doors either. It's only because I'm taking the time here to sort of look around the model and, you know, critique it in some way. As I say, I really wouldn't see most of these things if I put this straight on my railway. Underneath each of the doors, we've got a step that's moulded and separately fitted, and it's lovely to see the wooden detailing moulded into the plastic there. And then towards the back of the coach here, we've got the split line along the centre of the coach, as mentioned before, with the carmine on the lower and the cream on the upper, and a lovely little banding down the middle here, which is perfectly printed. The cream, and a black line with a cream just underneath it, and another black line just underneath the roof line. Really nicely done. Interior of the coach looks extremely detailed. There's lots of moulded, I can see doors and compartment doors in here. Can't see anything in here obviously because of the small windows, but I guess if the coach is lit up we may see that in a moment. But inside here I can see a sort of shutter door down. Not overly familiar with the interior of these coaches, but it does look very detailed in there. And again, just noting how heavy this coach is, just as I'm handling it here. Now round onto the end of the coach that adjoins to the adjacent set, part of the set. Again, the same detailing on the end here. We've got the grab handle to one side, we've got the moulded in features, but again the handrail that runs up next to the steps, changing colour on the roof there, and that's really annoying me now because that should be black all the way across. And yeah, it's clearly where the roof has been, the coach has been assembled and the roof has been sprayed afterwards. It's that's the compromise, that they've had to spray this in. Really, that should be black, so maybe fitted after painting. And again, the same on the rear, at this end of the rear of the coach, we've got some very small printing on there that looks fantastic. I'll get a close-up shot of that, and the steps fitted either side. I mentioned already the magnetic coupling between the two coaches and the close running of the two. On the other side of the coach, exactly the same. There's no change in the details. except for the printing of the 7892 at this end, and then 7892 is obviously printed over the brickwork on this side of the carriage. The more I look at this, the more it's growing on me. When I first saw this in the box, I thought that it looked very cartoonish, and as I mentioned earlier, it looked like something that I would expect to see on a tin plate Hornby of the 1920s. The more I'm looking round the model and I'm looking at the colours, the way these two colours blend in, it really is growing on me. It is a lovely coach. It really is a lovely coach. Yeah, quite pleased with that one so far. Let's have a look at the other one. So we've got a slightly different number on here. So 7892 on the first coach and 7833 on the restaurant car. Slightly less detail underneath the car. I guess, you know, it's the nature of the two coaches. This one being a catering unit and a bar would have all the auxiliaries underneath, whereas this just being a restaurant car, there's you know, not many components to put underneath, let's say. The bogies are the same. I'm just looking, they are the same set of bogies on both coaches. They're not different in any way. So the same set of bogies on there, and the same issues with the printing. So you've got the handrails running up the back of the coach. Somebody may correct me and say, actually, no, the handrails did change colour there and they were grey across the roof, but I don't see that myself. I would have thought they would be silver or black all the way over. But this handrail running all the way up onto the roof at this end, and at the other end, only a single handrail up one side. Yes, that's right. Okay, so both ends of the coach, we've still got the steps, we've still got the printing, we've still got the separately fitted handrails. We've still got the handles separately fitted to the doors, and again they are very slightly askew. This one is right back against the side of the cabin. This one, you're probably a millimetre away from the edge, so a little bit petty again, but yeah, there is definitely a mark there. One of the things I have noticed is my fingerprints. I'm definitely getting fingerprints on the paint here, so I will wipe these over with a cloth. The paint seems to be very susceptible to grease off my fingers, which I've not really noticed on Hornby models before. It might be the type of paint. Again, the windows, really beautiful along here, the way that they're stamped in. And I guess that's the benefit of this particular coach, is the fact that with the very high small windows, you know, they haven't really had to do too much with the interior. I think it probably would have benefited, again, separately fitted doors would have really brought this coach to life. But the printing of the word restaurant there, absolutely perfect. And on the other side, yeah, again, just looks beautiful, beautiful coach. To be fair, it should be for that money. And yeah, as they come together, they do look wonderful. Okay, let's go and pop them on the track. I think this set, the best way to sum up this set, I'm just going to put them on the side so you can see them. The best way to sort of sum up this set is, I think these coaches are going to look better in a siding where you can see and appreciate the detail on them. I think when they're running, and we'll see in a moment, I think when they're running, you won't capture all the little intricacies. I think that'll just go into a blur as they go past. But let's get them over to the track and we'll have a look at them stationary to start with, and critique them a little bit more, and then we'll get them on the track and see them running. Well, forgive the sound for a moment because I'm having to film this little bit on my phone, and obviously as I move it away from me, my voice will get quieter. So I'm pleasantly surprised to see that the coaches are fitted with lights. I hadn't realised that, but even more surprised when I zoom in on the coaches, as I move the camera closer, we get right up to the windows. You can see inside it is fully, well, there's tables, there's chairs, there is an interior inside, and indeed the inside of the coaches you can see are painted a maroon colour, and got window frames in there. I mean, I don't know how good the detail is. I'll try and get some pictures, but moving all the way down the coach, difficult to show with the camera. Moving along to the other coach, now this is really difficult to see because of the the etchings on the windows, but I do believe there is the bar in there, and there is the beams on the walls. Really difficult to see. Let's go to one of the larger windows. This one you can only see the sort of shuttering down. Maybe that's the shuttering on the bar. That's how they've done it. They've closed off the bar with this shuttered door. But then through the other windows, we've got all the detail in there. I'll have a turn it around in a moment. I'll have a look from the other side. So yeah, very detailed inside the carriages. Quite pleased with the lighting. And just to comment on the lighting, I'll just disconnect this carriage. Bring the camera back. Now if I lift it off the track, you'll note that the lights have stayed on. So it's got the capacitor inside. So should you run over a dead piece of track, it'll keep the lights illuminated. However, whilst filming, the lights on this carriage have gone out. There doesn't appear to be a switch. I've run a magnet over it, just in case it was a magnet switch on the carriage, and I think they've actually failed. I'll have to contact Hornby to find out whether they have failed or whether there is a switch somewhere, you know. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm glad I got some shots inside, but unfortunately the lights are definitely out on that one. Well, turning the pub carriage around, let's zoom in on the windows again. Let's see if we can see any more details from this side. There's definitely some chairs and some tables in there. Oh, you can see them going right the way up, the high backs as it mentioned, and you just make out the panelling on the walls. So yeah, there is detail inside the carriage. I'm quite impressed by that. Let's go along to the next window. Look in this one. Does it show the back of the bar? Very difficult to see. Yeah, there is a bar in there. Yeah, I can just make out the bar. I don't know if you can see it, just running through there. And the next window along, that one's frosted. That one's frosted. And this one at the end is not illuminated. Yeah, so there is a clear interior in there. But yeah, just a shame those lights aren't on. Oh dear, so the other set of lights just went out on me when I was trying to film inside, so yeah, my set definitely has a problem. Yeah, just to prove a point, I'm just going to take this train, put this on the track just at the end here so you can see there is power going to the track. So I'm going to have to cut the review a little bit short. I was hoping to you know, film inside these a little bit more. I think there's some detail inside. I mean, you've seen from the shots, they do look pretty good inside. Obviously all plastic moulded, and I think I wonder if the beams that I'm seeing may be the glazing inside, the edges of the glazing, I don't know. But unfortunately I can't see inside now, and I'm not going to take them apart. These are too expensive for me to take apart and investigate. I'm hoping there's just a switch on them. Maybe I've inadvertently activated a switch or something and turned the lights off. But yeah, I can't find anything on top of the carriage or around the carriage that would switch it on and off. And yeah, unfortunately, no lighting anymore. But that shouldn't distract from what a wonderful set of coaches these are. They are absolutely beautiful. Now, I'm just going to grab my coach. This is what I use to get my shots on the railway here. So let's just zoom in a bit and let's just run along these. I mean, they are exquisitely detailed. You know, very expensive coaches, but I think probably worth the money. You know, with the lighting inside. The lighting was a surprise. I didn't expect it to be there. But now that I know it's got lighting, I do want it to illuminate. And unfortunately, it's not doing so. And the brickwork here really has grown on me. I wasn't sure at first, but yeah, I really do like this now. So, I think what I'm going to do is wrap this particular review up and contact Hornby tomorrow and see what they have to say and see if we can get the lights back on this. Anyway, let's go and give it a quick run around the layout just to close out the video. And see what they look like running on the tracks. Well, I guess the point I was trying to show by running it at speed there is I had these two coaches right behind the loco, and then the two at the back here, or the three at the back originally, one of them failed, but the two at the back here, these are from the 1960s. These are really old trying ones. You can see with the couplings there, you know, these are very, very old carriages, and at speed, could you tell the difference? And to be honest, probably not. Having said that, these come into their own, as I say, at low speed, shunting or even parked in a siding. They're beautiful, beautiful coaches. Now I have to say I'm a bit disappointed that the lights aren't working. This could be something I've done. It could be something like a switch that I'm not aware of. Apart from the text on the box, there's no literature with the carriages at all, so it might be a magnetic switch inside that I'm not aware of, but there certainly isn't any instructions to that effect. So unfortunately, as I stand at the moment, the lights do look as though they may have failed, but as I say, I'll contact Hornby tomorrow, see what they have to say, and yeah, if there's any feedback I'll let you know. Such a shame because it was going so well and I was so pleased with these. They're lovely, lovely carriages. A little bit on the pricey side, I know, but you know, still lovely to see them going around on the railway, and they've really grown on me. And if you run the southern stock, they are lovely coaches and they're definitely worth looking at. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and why not check out the channel, lots on there. And if you can subscribe, I'll be very, very grateful. Don't forget, we're also running a competition to win a Hornby Master of the Glens train set. So yeah, have a look in the description, there's a link on there if you wish to enter. Only £1 entry, and yeah, the draw will be just after Christmas. And yeah, we'll wrap this up. I'll just say thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.